Thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad that you came to that workshop back in the day.
Gosh.
Things would be so
Isn't
different
it
if you
so-
hadn't.
Right? It's so interesting and sad sometimes to think about, like, if I had just not made this one choice,
Mhm.
my life could look totally different.
Yes. Yes. It's insane. Hello, Ashley.
Hi, Christina.
How are you today?
I am doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I have the windows open. It's a nice little breeze.
Nice.
Yes.
We've had some sunshine mixed in with like little sprinkles the last few days, and I'm full springtime mode now. I love it.
Yeah, it was very hard for me to put on jeans this morning. Like I really just wanted to put on a dress or shorts, but it wasn't quite warm enough for that. So
We're this close.
we're getting so close. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited too.
So I guess let's just jump right in. Would you like to introduce yourself and your business?
Sure. So I'm so sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background.
That is A-okay.
My name is Ashley Sloan. I use she, her pronouns, and my business that I work with a drop in the ocean for is Aee Creations, and I do all kinds of crochet fun stuff. And I specifically make the water balloons and the cotton rounds for a drop in the ocean.
Yes. We also still have one of your mason jar koozies.
Oh, I
in the
forgot
shop.
about the koozies.
Yes, just one. They haven't seemed to be as popular as I thought they were going to be. So they've been sitting there for a minute. So if anybody wants a mason jar koozie, I love mine. I use it all
Limited
the
edition,
time.
one left.
One left. And it's a beautiful bright green. I love the color. So how did Aee Creations begin? How did you get started in crocheting?
Ugh. Two big questions with kind of different answers. So I'll start with how I began crocheting. And this is a story I actually really like to tell people who are just beginning crocheting, because when you watch someone who's done it a long time, it looks easy, almost like mesmerizing, because they're just like sitting there and like moving their hands so quick, and then there's this thing that they've made out of literal string, and it's like, what? And so then you're like, ooh, I want to make something, and you try, and it is a disaster. So when I was like 13 or 14, I decided I wanted to learn how to crochet. My mom was a crocheter, and I had done some knitting when I was in like elementary school. I've always been very crafty, and like I want to try to make things and try new techniques for making things.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my mom, I was like, okay, I want you to teach me how to crochet, and I'm going to make a scarf. Oh my gosh, Christina, it took so long, and very quickly I realized I could not make a scarf. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a bookmark.
I tried to knit a scarf in junior high, and I think I got like this much done, and I was like, nope, I'm done.
That's impressive. Even that, yeah, knitting is also really hard. I haven't knit for a very long time because crocheting clicked a little bit faster for me, but I ended up, it probably took me, I'd say total like 20 to 30 hours to make the saddest, crookedest bookmark I've ever seen. It was like maybe this wide in the some parts, because it did a little bit of this, and then the top, it just, oh my gosh, it was a mess. But then slowly over the next, I don't know, 10, 15 years, that makes me feel old. I'd
well,
say
you said
like
you started
5
in like elementary school.
For the knitting. For the crocheting, I was
Okay.
like 13, 14.
Okay.
So let's say the next 5, 10 years, probably, I just kept trying, and I kept making things, and eventually it clicked, and I just started getting better and was able to teach myself how to like read patterns and YouTube started becoming more and more popular, so I could watch videos and learn that way. And I just love to try new designs and new things. And eventually I was like, well, I'm just going to make all these things for people. Like, I didn't keep very much, and I like to give things away to people and give gifts. And so I was just giving things to my friends that I was making. And then in like 2017, 2018, I'd say end of 2017, a bunch of my friends were like, you should sell these. Like, these are really cool, and like, you should be making money, and people will want to buy them. And I was like, do I have time to do this? No, not really. Does it seem fun? Sure, I'll try. So then beginning of 2018, I launched Aee Creations and started turning that hobby into a little bit of a side hustle.
I love that story. Do you still have that bookmark?
I don't know, actually. I might in a box.
You should see if you do.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I think it's so fun to look back at like creations from when you were a kid. So for me, when I was a kid, both my mom and my grandma liked to sew a lot. And so I learned how to sew at a really young age. And so my grandma has things like all over her house of like pillowcases that I made. And like at one point I made her a pot holder, but she said it was too nice to actually use. So it's on her wall as a wall hanging. And it's so fun to like look at those things that you made when you were a kid and, you know, be able to see how far you've come.
Grandmas are the best for saving that stuff.
Yes.
My grandma, when she passed away, we had so many things from all the grandkids that she had saved, including this bar of soap I made when I was like 8 years old. And she said the same thing, like, it's so pretty, I can't use it. I also don't think it was made well. 8 years old. Like, it was still in the fancy wrapping. And
wow, she really kept that.
Grandmas are pretty great when they save all that.
Yes. So you started in 2018 and then we met in early 2019. So it was fairly shortly after you started then.
Yeah.
Yay. And we met it was literally like 3 months after I had moved to Tacoma. And it was at like the first workshop that I did in Tacoma at Restyle. And it was a Zero Waste 101 workshop, and you and Ariana came. And it was so great to see you both then.
It was such a good workshop, and I'm so glad that we went, because not only was it, you know, informative, good time, got some great stuff, but also, yeah, we got to know you, and it's been really fun to just see how much you've grown in that time.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, you have. Yeah, we'll get to that. What would you say sets you apart from other crocheters?
That's a tough question, because there are so many local crocheters who are also really amazing, and they make beautiful things. I love going to markets and seeing what everyone else is making. I think something that's been really cool with my partnership with you and A Drop in the Ocean has been, how can we take these fun crocheted ideas or products and make them as sustainable as possible? So like, for example, the water balloons, you had reached out to me and you were like, I'm seeing these really cool reusable water balloons. Can you make these? And so I started digging into it, and everything that I had seen that was out there was made with the like, I forget exactly what it's made out of. Is it polyester? It's some type of synthetic, artificial.
Probably polyester.
That fuzzy, absorbing yarn. So like they're cute, they're fluffy, they soak up water really quick, but they're mostly plastic, right? Like they're not compatible with what A Drop in the Ocean promotes and sells and wants to put out in the world. And so I was like, let me see if I can do this with the cotton yarn that I typically use. And so I tried it out. I had to adjust the pattern a little bit to make sure it was still cute and balloony. And that was really fun. So I think that sets me apart in a lot of ways, is being able to kind of adapt to creating products that are going to be better for the planet and just, you know, match what is needed with that. And then something else that kind of popped in my head with that question was, as I was growing up, and my grandma was also a big like crafter and things like that. And we did a lot of stuff together. She really taught me the impact that your thoughts and your intentions have when you are creating, whether it's cooking or sewing or crocheting, that your thoughts and your heart go into the work that you're making, the work project that you're doing. And so that's something I'm always aware of when I'm making stuff, is that I'm in a good place in my head, and I'm like being thoughtful as I'm doing it. And I don't know if that like physically makes a better product, but I think that it, I don't know, it makes it special, right? Like the good vibes are in this.
Oh, I didn't know that. I really love that. Do you find that because you're always so cognizant of that, if you're in less than a great headspace, can you turn to crochet to help with that? Or is it kind of like, if I'm not in a headspace, I can't crochet?
That's a good question. I think there are times when I can use the crocheting as like a way to de-stress and kind of like recenter. And then there's also times where, yeah, I haven't crocheted in like a couple weeks, just because I haven't felt that draw or that like positiveness, I guess. So yeah, that's a good question. It depends.
Okay. Yeah. I really like that. I'm gonna have to be really cognizant of that now whenever I'm crafting, or really whenever I'm doing anything, because I feel like even just like, I think I said this in the interview with Kendra last month, that being an entrepreneur inherently means that you have to be creative in some capacity, right? You're creating something that's never been done before. And so I think that that's a really interesting thing to keep in mind, you know, anytime you're doing anything, you know, with your hands or, you know, like writing or anything like that, is really keeping that in mind. So thank you for that. I really love that.
Yeah. And I think I do want to just throw out there too, you don't always have to be sunshine and rainbows all the time. Because as I was saying it, I was like, that makes it sound like you can only do something if you're like in that perfect space, which I mean, me and probably everyone else, especially these last 2 or 3 years, not perfect headspace. Like it's been a rough couple of years. And so I think just even like aiming for that, right? Like even just as you're doing it, just having a couple like positive thoughts or trying to pull your head out of that cloud that sometimes we get stuck in.
Yep. I mean, I've been very open about how last year was a pretty big struggle for me mentally. And you know, one of the things that I did, you know, because I have my weekly email, I have to get my email out every week. And if I didn't get it out, then I would just feel even worse. And I was sitting at brunch with one of my friends one day, and I was like, I have to write this email, but I don't have any drive to write it. I don't know what I'm going to write about. And he was like, so write about Okapi, just write about your favorite animal. And I was like, huh, I totally could do that. And that definitely helped. Like I got the task done that I needed to get done. And it was something that I enjoyed writing about. Not that I don't enjoy writing about sustainability and plastic and all of that, but you know, it was something that I could basically just like write off the top of my head, and I got to share something that I was passionate about, and people resonated with it. And I think that also kind of goes back to like, I wasn't forcing myself to do something that wouldn't have helped my headspace. Instead, I allowed myself that space to do something that served me at the same time.
Yes. And it was probably a better email than if you had like forced yourself to write about an important topic, but that you just weren't in the right headspace to be working on.
Right. Exactly.
I love that. It's all connected.
Yes. So let's go back to a little bit of you and Ariana, because we were talking about how when you came to my workshop, you came together, and watching you both grow and see what's happened over the last few years. So you are also the co-founder of Paradoxum Consulting and Tacoma. So can you tell us a little bit more about those two businesses?
Sure. So Ariana is my other co-founder of those two efforts. And we worked together in our like day jobs several years ago. And through our work together, we were like, hey, I think we could start a business. She came to me and was like super terrified to bring it up, but I was like, yeah, that's genius. So we rolled with it. And honestly, I think we started in 2016, 2017. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. This is a video, but
it is quoted in eternity now.
I don't remember exactly when we started. Actually, I think it was 2018. It was 2018. You can quote me on that part.
Okay.
Anyways, and we started with Paradoxum Consulting, and it was through just this mutual desire to help people and businesses and organizations be better and do better. And as with any endeavor, as you dig into it, you go through transformations and growth yourself and with your knowledge and your paradigm. And Ariana and I have always been very much like that lifelong learner type of mindset. And so we've gone through several different service delivery focuses and paradigm shifts within our consulting services. And what we've always come back to and what we've found works best for our clients has been looking at systems and people, and everything is being interconnected, and looking at solutions and even diagnosing problems as those whole systems, and not just trying to fix like one little thing or just dealing with symptoms of a bigger problem. So that has been really fun, and it's something that we're continuing to grow and work on. And then a couple of years ago, so we launched Tacoma officially April of last year, so 2021. And Tacoma came about with lots of things kind of coming together, but essentially what it is a resource for small business owners and entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners to be able to get access to business supplies that otherwise would have gone into the landfill. So we take donated items from all over and then help redistribute them to business owners who can use them. And then we also work to create a community for the members and the folks that we work with based on education and kind of working through some of those practices and those things that we found to be really true in our consulting work. It was a really long answer.
I mean, you guys are doing a lot. Like, there's not really a short answer to that. Yeah, I adore what you two are doing. I think you are both absolutely brilliant, and Tacoma has been an amazing resource for me. Like, the workshops that you guys put on are always so value packed. I'm really excited for the one coming up this week.
Me too.
And just like the resources that you have, you know, the physical resources, like a bunch of our shipping boxes come from Tacoma. And then when I don't have anybody in my buy nothing group that wants like my packing paper or my larger boxes, then like I can bring those to you. I've gotten books from you that have been like life-changing. I got a vintage glass juicer from you the last time I was in. Life-changing.
That makes me so happy.
I saw it and I was like, Ariana, I have to have this thing, because I didn't want one of those like handheld juicers, you know, because then you can really only use those for limes and lemons.
Yeah,
And
because they like have a certain size.
yeah. And, mimosas are my thing. And so either orange juice or grapefruit juice. And like neither one of those would fit in one of those handheld things. And I like having fresh squeezed juice. So now I'm really excited to test it out with a grapefruit sometime soon and make mimosas.
And it's glass.
Yes. It's 100% glass. It's like my new favorite thing in my apartment. I'm telling everybody about it.
My heart is so happy right now.
Yes. Yeah. So you have way more than like just business supplies. I mean, you have everything from like computer monitors to like utensils. You have
It's
everything.
true.
Yeah. Would you say that there are, because it's really only for business owners, right? Or aspiring business owners. So it doesn't really, what was it? My original question was going to be, are there people that read Tacoma like doesn't really serve in your business model? But you kind of answered that already with its entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. Something
I've been thinking about a little bit lately, because we had a member who she's super amazing, and she recently shared that she got engaged and is, for her wedding, is doing as sustainable as possible and collecting dinner plates that are all like different patterns and all of that, and using reusable place settings that are already in circulation. And I was like, hey, we have tons at Tacoma, because we got a bunch of donations and folks just haven't really needed them. And she was like, oh, I thought it was just for business needs. And I was like thinking about it. And then the first thing that popped in my head was our like whole systems, whole people perspective, right? And so like as solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we're still people, and we still have those like needs. And at Tacoma, we're totally okay if you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, I could use this in my house, or I could use this, like this notebook isn't just going to be for work. Right. And so I don't know, that kind of stood out to me as a really good example of we can support whole people and like all of their efforts with Tacoma. It doesn't have to just be strictly business focused. That being said, we do gear everything towards business ownership and entrepreneurship. And so we do have our members are business owners. And so that's the main focus. We are working on creating kind of one-day events where just anyone in the community can come and shop, and we can kind of get rid of some of that inventory that's been hanging out for a while. But yeah, our focus is definitely that business perspective, because we don't have a ton of those resources in our community.
Yeah. Yeah. And you did have like a teacher night, right? At one point. So one of those like community events was specifically like for teachers and office supplies.
Yes, that was so fun. We had a bunch of teachers come in and they were like, my budget for the whole year is $50 for supplies. And I was like, the whole year?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she like was able to load up her car with stuff that other people weren't needing, like soup cup lids. She was like, these will be perfect little paint palettes for, she taught preschool, I think, or Head Start. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So yeah, that was a really fun event.
Yeah. That's so creative too. I love that. Yeah.
Reusing other people's trash.
Yes. Yes. So I guess let's like rest of the questions can be either for Ashley or Aee Creations or Tacoma or Paradoxum, however you feel like answering. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what is your favorite part of what you do?
Oh, yep. There's lots of different. It all kind of comes back to, I love just helping people and like seeing them get excited about stuff. So like with Aee Creations, like I've read some of the reviews on A Drop in the Ocean about like the cotton rounds and just how excited and how like useful people have found them. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you do is really like providing tools and resources to your community. Yeah. So then going along with that, what is something that you are really proud of?
I think I'm proud of the variety of things that I make and do, and like trying new things. And if somebody's like, hey, can you make this thing that I've never like tried before or seen before, I'll be like, let me see. And I think that that's something I'm really proud of. When I got married a few years ago, I crocheted all of the ties for my husband and the groomsmen. Yeah, and like that was nothing I'd ever tried before, but I was like, ooh, this is so cool. And it was so stressful, right? Because I was also like planning a wedding. Married. But it's those types of things that I think I'm most proud of, where it's like I tried something new and it turned out amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I need to see pictures of those.
I'll show you a picture.
Okay, thank you. And I guess 2 more questions. What is something that people might be surprised to learn about you?
I think people do get surprised when they learn how much I do, like with the crochet stuff. And I have some other like artsy craftsy hobbies that I do in addition to that, and read Tacoma and Paradoxum. And I have a full-time day job.
I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
And I'm a puppy parent of 3. So
with a brand new puppy.
A brand new puppy, little Oliver.
So cute.
He's pretty fresh.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that surprises people. And it's something that I am continually working on finding the best balance for. I grew up in a very much like I used being busy as like an escapism and as like a sign of my worth and my importance. And as I get older and heal from some trauma, yay,
trauma.
I am working to slow down and be like kinder on my body, right? Because when we're so busy all the time, that's going to catch up with us.
Yep.
And so, yes, I do a lot, and I'm working on finding those balances and how can I create a process and systems that work to like feed me so that I'm not always just like giving, because I love the giving. Mm-hmm. And we got to like bring it back too.
Right. You got to care for yourself before you can care for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think finding that balance is so important too. Do you know Jess from Wildcraft Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like last summer, she was sharing a lot on Instagram about how she was trying to like unlearn that mentality of like, if I'm busy, then I am valuable. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important that we all kind of do that, because that's kind of the culture that we've built, like with capitalism. And then now, because like, I mean, still capitalism, but now we have like hustle culture. And it's like, and everybody's like, what's your side hustle? Like, I need to find a side hustle. And I'm like, do we need to though? Like,
I mean, often we do because of capitalism. Exactly. And white supremacy, like all of this, like the identity, the value, the capitalism, like all has deep roots in white supremacy. And so it's deeply ingrained in everything.
Interesting. I didn't realize that there was a connection. I mean, it makes sense, but I would never have thought of the connection between like being busy and having value in being busy and white supremacy?
I've recently been looking into a lot of research and thoughts on white supremacy and demanding like short turnaround times and like rushing, right? So like if I send you an email today, I need a response, or I need you to do this thing by the end of the day, and how that is even rooted in white supremacy. And this expectation that my needs and my importance is more important than yours and your needs, and you need to drop everything to do what I, as a white person, would need you to do. And I find that really interesting. So there's a lot in it.
Yeah. If you,
I'm so sorry.
No, that is perfectly fine. And if you have like links to articles or anything, or books or podcasts, like I would love to take a look at those too, if you wanted to send those my way. I would appreciate it.
I will.
Okay, wonderful. And then last question, is there anything that you would like to say, or anything additional that you would like to share with our EcoWarriors?
First, I love the EcoWarriors. I love the community that you've created, Christina. It is amazing. Monday emails make waves. Mondays are the best. And I love the Facebook group. So if you're not part of the Facebook group, you should join. And then I think in relation to the crocheting and the like creating and the work that I do there, I just highly, highly, highly recommend that folks explore and like embrace their creative side. I am someone who has never considered myself artistic or to be an artist. And so I was in the past, I've been like, well, but so I'm not creative. But like creating is making things. And when we look at like sustainability and aspiring zero wastedness, we do so much creating, and we, think of solutions. And so I just highly recommend that people lean into that side of themselves and try new things, make some really ugly bookmarks that take way too long.
I really want to see this bookmark.
I probably threw it away, but yeah, I will try and see if I have it.
Wonderful. But I think that's a really good point too, is remembering like it's okay to try something, you know. And I know that that's a mentality that I've had basically since the beginning of my zero waste journey. I've just kind of always been like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. Why not? Like if it doesn't work, then I try something else. But I know that just kind of comes really naturally to me, I guess, but it doesn't for a lot of people. And so I think that's a really good message that, it's okay to try something. And if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah. And I am a very, I have these two parts of me. Like I have this creativeness, but I'm also very analytical and very overanalyzing. And sometimes that part of me stops the creative part of me. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like, oh, I have to figure out exactly how to do this thing perfectly, or I need to know everything it's going to look like. And sometimes you just have to interrupt that. So if you also struggle with that, tends to run with people who have anxiety, just, overthinking and difficulty taking action. Also ADHD, it's a lovely combination.
What a great combination.
Yes.
Yep.
But it can be like a superpower. So, but just do it. Just, just try the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wonderful, Ashley. Thank you so much. Where can people find you? Like website, socials, where can they go to find you?
Yeah, so I have Instagram and Facebook, and you can search Aee Creations. I am, as I mentioned, I have a lot of things going on, so my social media is not very active, but if you send me like an Instagram message, I'm pretty good at responding to those. So yeah, that's the best way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Christina. We'll see you later.
See ya.